Hello everyone. Last week I uploaded a TikTok video about me talking about my PTE journey and how much I scored and the tips and tricks that I used. And at the end of the video I mentioned that I will upload a YouTube video explaining those tips and tricks. So thank you to everyone for your patience, and I received a lot of messages on TikTok and also comments on my TikTok video where people were really asking for my tips and they wanted the YouTube video really quick. Today what I'm going to do is share you the tricks that I used for my PT test. When I'm doing this video, I'm hoping that you already know the general format of the test, and if you don't, I will mention the format, but I won't really go into the detail. I'll just share the tricks that I used for my test. Everything that I'm sharing right now is my experience, and it might not be fit for everyone, but I would make it as much as possible suitable for everyone. Now let's move on to the test. PTE. PTE stands for Pearson Test of English. It is 2 hours long and it is an integrated exam. When we say integrated exam, it means that all the 4 components, which are the speaking, listening, reading and writing, will be linked to each other. The marks from speaking will be linked to the marks to listening, and the marks from listening is linked to the marks in reading. So all these 4 components are linked to each other and will contribute to each other's scores. Before the real test begins, you have to give a short introduction about yourself. No marks for it. It is just to check volume and the microphone. So before you head out to do the test, make sure to prepare a short introduction about yourself so that you don't have to worry about it once you're in the center. You just have to say your name, what are your hobbies, where are you from, anything about yourself, just to make sure that the volume is adequate for your ears and also the microphone works properly. Let's move to the first component, which is the speaking. In speaking, there are 5 different activities, which are read aloud, repeat sentence, describe image, retell lecture, and short Q&A. And these are the number of questions in each of the activities. So first is read aloud. In read aloud, there will be 6 to 7 questions, and you'll get 35 seconds to prepare to read the passage or sentences before actually reading out loud. I have gotten some questions from people who saw my TikTok asking me if the accent matters. Let me remind you that your accent does not matter. What matters is that you read it fluently and confidently. And make sure to not read too fast or not too loud. Your microphone will be next to your mouth, so you don't have to be very loud, no matter the noise in the room or the center. The next important thing is read ED or S sounds properly. For example, in a word like flowers, make sure you sound S properly at the very end. And for example, the word like prepared, make sure you sound the ed sound well at the end, because you can lose marks in pronunciation if you don't sound this sounds properly. In terms of numbers, you need to read the numbers fully. For example, in a number like 2025, you can't read it as 2025. You need to read it as 2025. And in a number like 30000, you can't read it as 30k. You need to read it as 30,000. So you have to read the numbers fully. If you miss words while you are reading out loud, or if you make mistakes, do not repeat the word, but keep going. If you repeat the words, what will happen is you will lose marks in fluency. So even if you make mistakes or miss some words, you just keep on going, don't repeat the words. That's all for reading out loud. The next one is repeating sentence. This one is basically trying to test your memory. I fully acknowledge that some people can't remember or memorize the sentence completely, and I feel like this does not matter. If you don't remember everything, it's okay. In repeat sentence, there are 10 to 12 questions. Recording starts after half or 1 second right after audio ends. So make sure to start speaking as soon as the audio ends, because there will be no beep. Note taking is not recommended or helpful because there's not enough time. If you don't remember everything, it's okay. Speak what you remember fluently and confidently. Say something at the end if you don't remember. Do not stay silent if you don't remember. When I say something at the end, if you don't remember, meaning, for example, the sentence is, today was very hot, so I had an ice cream. Just assume that you remember today was very hot, but you don't remember the second half of the sentence. So you can just say, today was very hot, so I took a shower. Even if you don't remember the second half of the sentence, you should not just stay quiet, because you can lose marks to fluency. So what you need to do is you need to say something. Even if it's wrong, it's okay, but you will at least get marks in fluency. So yeah, that's what I mean when you say, even if you don't remember, say something. Moving on to the next activity, it is describing image. Personally, for me, describing image was the activity which I was mostly nervous about, so I was always very unsure about it. But I feel like the more you practice, the more confident you become. Here, there will be 1 to 2 questions. You will get 40 seconds to speak. Even before speaking, you will have some time to prepare, so make proper use of that time. Talk anything about the image, but it must be relevant. No template. There is no template for the picture, but I can share you the structure that I used. It's not exactly a template, but it is the sequence of sentences that I use. Whenever you talk about the image, you can talk about the highest and lowest, the smallest and biggest, the color in the image, the increasing factors or the decreasing factors in the image, or the more or less. You will be able to understand what I mean in the next example. So for example, this is the image. What I will talk about from this image is the bar graphs gives information about our favorite sports. The x-axis represents the sports and the y-axis represents the number of students. The image includes elements such as soccer and softball. The highest number of students is for soccer, which is 9, and the lowest is for others, which is 3. Furthermore, softball has 4 students and basketball has 6 students. To conclude, the bar graph is about our favorite sports. So yeah, you can, I right now I read it slowly because I wanted to show what the blanks meant, but when you actually do it, you need to speak a little faster. But yeah, you can use this kind of structure, especially when the image is a bar graph or a line graph. And another example would be something like this, an image. When an image is shown, you can use this structure. For example, the image gives information about beach. There is ocean in the background. The weather looks sunny. The image includes elements such as sand and people. 2 people are building a sandcastle and 1 person is playing with a kite. Furthermore, 1 person has a ball and they look happy. To conclude, the image is about beach. So, as I said, you can talk anything about the image as long as it is relevant. This will help you describe the image properly. To move on to the next one, it is retelling the lecture. Retelling the lecture, they will make you listen to an audio, and what you need to do is you need to basically summarize or repeat what was said in the lecture. You can't repeat everything exactly said in the lecture, but you need to listen carefully and take notes so that you can at least say the important key points. There will be 1 to 2 questions. You have 10 seconds to prepare. You have 30 seconds to speak, and make sure to take notes. Note important 4 to 5 key points and the lecture topic. Make sure to note these points and the topic. There is no template, but there is a structure that can be used. Just like the describing image, you can also use the structure that I'm sharing next. For example, like this. Dash was the main topic of the lecture. The topic that you noted down after listening to the lecture, you need to say here. For example, if the topic is about beach, beach was the topic of the lecture. Firstly, he mentioned point 1. So whenever you're taking down the notes, make sure you note down at least 4 to 5 points so that you can talk about it here. Firstly, he mentioned point 1. Furthermore, he discussed point 2. Moreover, point 3. When you note down the points, of course, you will write short words, but you need to elaborate it when you speak. For example, if the point number 3 is sustainable development, you can't just say, moreover, sustainable development. You need to elaborate it, right, for it to make sense. So that's what I mean. Additionally, he said point 4, overall the lecture was about dash, that the topic, and he focused on dash and dash. That's why I said note down key points from the lecture and the topic as well, so that you can tell it during this Retell lecture activity. The last section of the speaking component is the short Q&A. There will be 5 to 6 questions. You can't really practice this because it's a general knowledge question. And for this question, your answer should be few words response. If you don't know the answer, repeat keywords from the question. For example, if the question is, what is the most common flower that is given on a Valentine's Day? The answer is rose, right? But just assuming if you don't know the answer, you can just say flower, because you just have to repeat the keywords from the question. After this, the speaking component is over. The next one is writing. In writing, there are two main activities, which is summarizing the written text and writing essay. In the summarizing written text, you will get 10 minutes, which is more than enough. You have to just write 5 to 75 words. You have to summarize the passage that they give in just one sentence. To do this, my advice is select 3 to 4 important sentences and join these sentences using connectors such as comma, and furthermore. Capital letter in the beginning, and for nouns, please remember to use capital letter. Make sure to only use one full stop at the end, because as I said, you have to summarize the passage to only one sentence. Consistency in English, such as American or UK English, is very important. For example, if you use American English, you need to make sure that you are consistent with it. At the very end, once you're done writing, proofread in reverse from the end to beginning, because when we read from the top to bottom, we read it and we sometimes miss the mistakes, whereas if you read from in reverse from the bottom to the beginning, from the end to the beginning, we can actually see where we made mistakes. So to give an example, for example, if this is the passage that is given about polar bears, to summarize the written text, what I did is, as you can see, the yellow highlighted sentences, I just copied it down and then connected it with a comma, and then I again copied this exact sentence here, added a comma, and then again copied this exact sentence and added a comma and furthermore, and again copied this exact sentence and here added a full stop. So one full stop, one capital letter, I used the connectors here, and the total word is 74. So just like this, you need to make sure to use comma, and furthermore, and one full stop, so that it is technically one sentence and you are summarizing the passage. This one wouldn't even take you like 5 minutes. So 10 minutes is more than enough, which is allocated. The next one is writing essay. You will be given 20 minutes to write an essay, and the essay should be 200 to 300 words. In the essay, while writing the essay, state what you feel about the topic and clearly mention it. Whether you agree or disagree, mention specifically. What is more important is giving reasoning or justification with examples. And my recommendation is to write 4 paragraphs. What I mean when I say state what you feel about the topic and clearly mention it is, usually the question that is given for this writing essay is opinion based. It will ask you whether you disagree or agree to it. So in the essay, you need to write, I agree to this, or I disagree to this. Why do you disagree, or why do you agree? You need to write your justification and also give examples so that it helps your justification be more convincing. So this is the template that I used, and I would recommend you guys to also use this. The first paragraph is introduction. Write something general about the topic and state clearly what you feel about it. Agree or disagree, why? So the first body, firstly, dash. What's your opinion about it? And for example, why? Second body, it is however, your justification again and again an example. In conclusion, I believe that, what do you believe here? The one that you have mentioned here. And moving forward, what do you feel about this topic again? So you need to write this, and it has to be between 200 to 300 words. And I feel if you do this, you will score really well in writing as well. So for the reading component, you will be given overall 29 to 31 minutes. So make sure to use this time properly because you will have to complete all these questions within this time. So the activities are drop down blank, MCQ where multiple answers are correct. You have to reorder the paragraphs, drag and drop blanks, and MCQ where only single answer is correct. So the first one, drop down blank. What you have to do first is read the passage and understand the context or meaning. Out of the drop down options, eliminate obvious wrong options. If unsure, move to next blank and come back to it last. And try reading the sentence with all options and listen to how it sounds. In this activity, what will happen is you'll be given a passage and there will be few blanks. For these blanks, there will be a list of drop-down options and you have to choose the best option that fits the passage. That's why you have to understand the context or the meaning of the passage. And if you are unsure whether the option is right or wrong, just keep it for the last and move on to the next blank, because you shouldn't waste a lot of time in this activity. Try reading the sentence with all options and listen to how it sounds. What I personally do is after I've chosen the option, I try reading the sentence again, and if it has a natural flow to it, then I feel like, okay, this is the correct answer. And if not, I try again. My recommendation for you is not to spend a lot of time in this activity, because if you spend a lot of time here, then you will miss out on the following questions. The next activity is multiple choice questions, where multiple answers are correct. In this activity, you will be provided a passage, a question, and a list of options. In the options, only 2 or more answers are correct, and you will be given a negative marking if you choose the wrong answer. So that's why if you are unsure about the answer, only choose the answers that you are sure about and leave the unsure ones, because otherwise you will lose marks for the wrong answers. The third activity is reordering the paragraph. It is basically 4 to 6 sentences are given in a jumbled order. First, look for general sentence or independent sentence. Independent sentence means a sentence that can stand on its own. It doesn't have to be dependent on another sentences to make meaning. Each sentence follows the previous sentence. After reordering, try reading it to see if the sequence flows well. For example, the question that will be given to you would be something like that. You can see that this first sentence is independent because it does not need another sentence to make sense. Soon a strong wind began to blow through the trees. Raindrops started falling, quickly turning into a downpour. People ran for cover as thunder rumbled in the distance. So each of these sentences are linked to the previous sentence so that it makes sense. As you can see, because the wind blew, we can see that now it will start raining. So raindrops started falling, right? Now because it rained, people needed to run for cover, so we know that it comes at last. So my tip for this activity is first identify the independent sentence or the general sentence, and then try to reorder the rest of the sentences based on it. The drag and drop blank. This is similar to the first activity where you have to select the options from the drop down list, but here you have to drag it, not drop down. So read the passage and understand the context. The options look similar to each other, so choose carefully. If unsure, move to next blank. Similar to earlier one, if you're unsure about an answer, move to the next blank because you shouldn't waste a lot of time here. And do the doubtful blank at the end. So once you're done with everything, you come back to the one which you left and answer that. Again, you shouldn't spend a lot of time in this question because you will otherwise lose marks in the next ones. The next one is MCQ, single answer correct. Read the questions first and then read the passage. There is no negative marking, so please do not leave these questions unanswered or unattempted. Only one answer is correct. Before reading the passage, read the question so that you know which answer would fit the question while you're reading the passage. Finally, it's the listening component. The listening component is very important because the time management is very, very crucial in this component. What I have observed and learned from the test is the people who make the PTE questions intentionally put the listening component at the very end because it has very high marks, and people who don't manage time properly will lose marks because they are not able to finish the questions. So please make sure you manage time properly. There are two different sections in the listening component. The first one is summarizing spoken text, and the second section activity consists of 7 different types of activities. For summarizing spoken text, you are given 10 minutes for each summary activity. Make short, smart notes while listening to audio. Total 50 to 70 words. And if doubts in spelling, choose a different keyword. So while you're listening to the audio, make sure you make notes. You list down at least 5 to 6 keywords. I've also provided a template. You can use this template and you can fill in the blanks using the keywords that you noted down while listening to the audio. There's nothing much I can say about the summary spoken text because it is very straightforward and the template is also given. I personally didn't use this template because I just thought I wouldn't be able to memorize all of these, so I just use my own words to summarize the spoken text. But if you feel like you won't be able to come up with your own words while you are summarizing, you can use this template. For section 2, remember that you get only 13 to 19 minutes to complete all the 7 different activities, so you need to manage time properly, otherwise you will lose a lot of marks. First one is MCQ, multiple answers correct. Similar to the earlier one, you have to read the question first and then listen to the audio. Make notes while listening to the audio. Wrong answer has negative marking. Options are paraphrased. Usually 2 answers are correct. And if unsure, only choose the one which you are sure about so that you don't lose marks because of negative marking. Next one is fill in the blank. This one is pretty straightforward as well. What I would recommend you is to keep your eyes on the screen on the passage. Make notes as soon as you hear the word for the blank. So for this activity, fill in the blanks, you will be provided a passage with few blanks and you will also have to listen to the audio to know what the blanks are for. You will know the answer for the blanks through the audio, so you need to keep your eyes on the screen. You also have to simultaneously make notes to know the answer for the blanks. While making notes, keep your eyes on the screen. Why I am saying this is because some of the blanks are closer to each other. So if you're writing the notes and you are not looking at the screen, you will miss the blanks and you will also miss the words that goes in the blank and you will lose mark at the end. So once you're all done writing the notes, then you can start typing only at the end. Don't type while you are still listening to the audio because then you will get distracted and miss some of the words. The next activity is highlighting correct summary. In this activity, you will be given an audio or a video and you have to listen to it and then you have to choose the correct summary of the audio or the video. I would recommend you to make notes while listening so that it makes it easier for you to choose the correct summary while you are answering the questions for the activity. So the next activity is multiple choice questions where only a single answer is correct. In this activity, you will be given an audio or a video, and before you listen to the audio or video, quickly read the question so that you know what to look for in the video or the audio. While you are listening to the audio, I would recommend you to make keyword notes, not long sentences, but keyword notes, and also try to understand the context of the lecture. For example, if the lecture or the audio is about insects, make sure to know what it is talking about. Or for example, if it's talking about a disease, make sure to know what the context is about. Remember, there is no negative marking, so please don't leave the questions unanswered or unattempted. And only one answer is correct. The fifth one is selecting the missing word. In this activity, select missing word. You will be provided an audio or a video. Before the audio or the video starts, quickly go through the options that are provided. At the end of the video or the audio, there will be a beep sound. You have to choose one of the options that best matches the beep sound. What most people recommend is writing down the last words of the audio. What I personally do is once I feel like I know the answer, I try to see if the options match the context of the audio or the video. For example, I have so many things to do, I am under dash. Then you need to find what the dash is and you have to look at the options. If the options are water, pressure, bed, table. So you will know that the audio says, I have so many things to do, so I am under pressure, right? Because that's what makes sense. So that's how you have to try to match the beep with the options that are provided. Try to also understand the context. The next activity is highlighting the incorrect words. In this activity, there will be a passage given and you will also have to listen to the audio. Now what you have to do is try to match the audio to the passage. And if there is any mismatch between the audio and the passage, you need to highlight the incorrect words. Remember that if you choose a wrong answer, there is a negative marking. Follow the audio with the words with your mouse cursor. highlight incorrect words at the same time as the audio plays. What I personally did is I read ahead of the audio, like a few words ahead, so that I can immediately catch the incorrect words as soon as I hear it in the audio. I don't know if it makes sense or not, but even if you don't do this, as long as you match the audio with the passage and follow word by word, you'll be able to catch the incorrect word. So the last activity is writing from dictation. As I highlighted here, it has a lot of marks. When I said that the people who makes the PTE test set, why they kept this at the very end is because if some people don't manage the time properly in the beginning, they won't be able to attempt this question. And when you don't attempt these questions, you will lose a lot of marks, and if you don't get good score, you will have to reappear for the PTE test, right? Which means that they will be able to earn more money, which you pay for the PTE. So that's why please manage your time properly so that you get enough time to do this activity. So in this activity, what you have to do is you have to listen to the audio that is played, and you have to type exactly what you heard. What I did is I closed my eyes and listened to the audio, because if I open my eyes, I easily get distracted with everything that's in front of me. So I closed my eyes and I listened to the audio. As soon as I was done listening, I immediately repeated what was said and then started typing. And even if the spelling is incorrect, it's okay, you just type it, and at the end then you start correcting the wrong spelling. Proofread to check spelling and grammar at the end after you're done typing. What I felt is note taking is not really helpful in this activity because you don't have time at all. If you do note taking and everything, I feel like you won't be able to listen to the audio properly, and there are no deduction for extra words. So for example, if the sentence is tomorrow is Sunday and I love it, what I did is I closed my eyes, I heard tomorrow is Sunday and I love it. As soon as I listened to the audio, I kept on repeating it, tomorrow is Sunday and I love it too. Then I started typing, and that's how I did it. And I feel like I scored full marks in this activity because I did this trick. I feel like closing eyes while listening to the audio really helps because I'm shutting down one distraction and only focusing on the listening. So I feel like that really helps. So this is the end of the test, and after you're done with the test, you will receive the results in the same day within 4 to 5 hours. Thank you so much to everyone who were really patient and waited for this video. I hope this helps you a little bit, and even if it was not very helpful for you in all the different sections or the activities, I'm sure that some of the tricks might have benefited you. So whoever you are, I wish you the best of luck for your next PTE exam. Thank you. Bye.